let's go explore the other option that the US does realize that, hey, this could be very damaging. We can have a global economic crisis if this war breaks out. Gas is at $20 a gallon. All our bases are getting wiped out. They war game this themselves in the Pentagon, say, look, as much as the neocons want to do this, as much as we love Israel, whatever, we can't go to war with Iran because it's not going to play out the way we want it to play out. So they say no. So what does that mean for Israel? Does Israel all of a sudden have to enter into some type of diplomacy, negotiations? Do we finally get that ceasefire in Gaza? Can we finally get a two-state solution? Can they push them in that? Or are they just going to be like, no way, we'll all die here in Israel, and as long as we'll never accept that. What will happen?
Well, yeah, no, it's a very good question. I mean, it would put Israel, they're in a bad place right now, but that would really that would put Netanyahu in a very difficult set of circumstances. He took Israel down this road, with betting very recklessly that he would bring in the U.S. and achieve, regime change in Iran. And it failed. Like the worst thing is to go halfway down the road. Either you don't do it or you succeed. You go halfway down the road, you're a loser, and you've brought destruction to your own country. And, you have nothing to show for it. And then you have this ongoing, really, to all appearances, very unsuccessful invasion of southern Lebanon. And there's, the genocide continues in Gaza, but Israeli soldiers are still getting killed there. And you have nothing to show. You didn't bring the hostages home. I think it could be the end of his government. But who knows? It could mean civil war within Israel, because you do have these diehards that just don't care, that are just going to go all out no matter what. Okay, well, the Iran thing didn't work, but we're just going to continue pulverizing Lebanon, and we're going to seize territory in southern Lebanon, and we're going to seize territory in Gaza, and we're going to try to, ethnically cleanse the West Bank once and for all. And maybe again, it's just because of the support they get from the U.S., they managed to pull it off. But boy, I mean, it's going to be at a huge price. I don't think Netanyahu would survive it. And I don't think the Zionist project, even if they achieve some kind of victory, against their weaker neighbors in the short run, it's just going to be at such a huge cost for Israel that I don't think Israel will be able to survive long term.
Do you think that the Israelis will try to blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque or something like that?
Oh, there are people. I think it's either Ben Gvir or Smotrich was actually involved in an effort to do that. And so now we have people, they used to be on the fringes of Israeli society. Now they're right at the center of power in Israel. So yeah, that could happen. And maybe that's like the way that things could go if the Iran adventure fails miserably.
That's what I was
kind of turn inward, right?
Right. If they can't pull off the Iran attack, but it's clear that Netanyahu needs to escalate, then what is the biggest escalation you can do? Blow up the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the second most holy site in Islam, to rebuild the Temple Mount.
I mean, he'll start to, because that would put him in a desperate situation if the Iranian adventure fails. And I think that the odds are that it will fail. And yeah, he'll be desperate, and who knows? There are those forces in Israel. They are certainly there, and they're no longer on the fringes. It could happen.
Right. That's something easy that they could pull off, because they're right there in Jerusalem. So
right.
But if they do that, then you got the whole Islamic world, the whole Muslim world that is just
that may be like. I mean, so far the governments of Jordan and Egypt have, have held steady. They continue to be allied with the West, but that just may be. I don't know if they could survive that. And then you could have revolutions, coups in those countries, and then you could have the Egyptian army and the Jordanian army going against Israel. That's already been severely weakened by all its previous adventures.
Okay, so
we're getting pretty far afield, but the thing is, I think it's fair to consider these things, because I don't see a peaceful solution to this. Again, I do see a chance of some kind of ugly peace in Ukraine. I think it's more likely there. But I just don't see a peaceful solution. And the main reason is just the crazies that are in power in Israel. They're not going to go. You mentioned a two-state solution. It's just not going to happen. I know that that's what all kinds of governments are officially committed to, but it's just not going to happen because so many of those settlers, not all of them, a number of the settlers, so-called settlers in the West Bank are just taking advantage of low rents or whatever. But hundreds of thousands of them are violent, zealous nuts. And they're not going to, they're going to, if the Israeli army tries to move them out, they're going to start fighting the Israeli army. And the Israeli army just won't. They never have. There are too many people in the IDF that support those settlers. It's just not going to happen. We're not going to get a two-state solution. So, I mean, it's no matter what I look at, it's just bad. I don't know how it's going to end in Israel-Palestine, but there's going to be an awful lot of bloodshed and ruin on the way.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like there's any way out for Israel at this point. They've really painted themselves in a corner. Maybe I'm wrong. I think that's true. I mean, it's just that there were opportunities along the way to achieve a ceasefire, to even achieve some kind of modus vivendi with Iran. It was clear that the new president of Iran, he was selected partially on that platform, but they. It's not just that they missed the opportunity, but they obviously chose not to take it on the day of his inauguration, right? They carry out this assassination. It was here. This is a president going in talking about, a fresh start. Let's try to improve relations with the West. This was a chance for Israel to actually extend an olive branch, and it would have been greatly to their benefit, but they were not interested. I mean, again, because they're going for greater Israel. I mean, that's it. It's just not that okay, let's just have peace with our neighbors. The people in charge are not interested in peace with their neighbors. They want a greater Israel, which means for the only way to achieve that, as they say, that is through war. So they actually want to take out the moderates. They want to take out the negotiators, and that's what they've been doing.